Hello, everyone. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for joining our podcast. Today, our guest is Jennifer, Covenant CEO. Uh, let's start with a simple one question. Could you please briefly explain what Covenant does and what problem you set out to solve?
Sure. Yeah, we are an AI law firm for the private markets. We represent investors in all types of transactions, fund investments, venture investments. And we really felt that with AI, that there was a completely new way to practice law, not just technology to that is general purpose and not just a lawyer using that general purpose technology, but really sort of thinking through an end-to-end logistical change of how you can do certain types of transactions. So again, if you think of Amazon said, all right, the internet exists. I think we can deliver packages, and we're going to imagine how to do that without a store, right? And so they really started from the beginning of saying, logistically, how would I run a business knowing that the internet exists, that someone's going to click on a website and I want something delivered? And they built their logistics around a warehouse. We built ours around sort of a back end QA for AI.
So,
Yeah.
could we tell that there is second one question? What inspired you founding the company and what was the vision? And so could we tell that you saw that there is a need in integrating AI for this activity? Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Thank you. How do you combine AI with legal expertise in your tools? What makes Covenant's approach unique?
Sure. So we, from the beginning, said we need to go directly to clients. Like if you're going to change behavior, you can't go to incumbents, which would be the big law firms, but you really need to go to clients and you need to do work that big law would normally do. And so we've said that is fundamental. And then there are a few other parts of our business that have been fundamental since the beginning. The first is that we believe that software needs to be part of it. So our clients have a software platform, just like, people trade stocks now online or do their taxes. A lot of behavior can be converted to a superior experience, off of Word documents and email if the right user experience exists. Then the second part was that, or, I guess the third part, if the first is going to clients, the second is software. We said we need expert lawyers, like real lawyers with deep expertise. My partner was the former general counsel of CVC Capital Partners. He knows this area well. I know this area well, private markets. Our team, we have a very small team, but they're real, sort of experts. And they need to be in the back end for efficiency. For quality assurance, making things are right, but also filling the gap for advice on the front end so that the lawyers are really integrated throughout the process. And as you can automate, there are parts of what we do now that has almost no human intervention. And then there are parts that are still largely human because someone wants to have a phone call, right? And so we really are able to, sort of fine tune what, the level of human intervention. And then the last part was that AI should be for efficiency, right? To do things fast, to extract data, but also to delight clients, right? So that it's not just a magic trick, right? It's not just, hey, I can get that information out, but what's the next thing AI can do that our clients would want to do? And what's the next thing and the next thing? And so we really have combined those, four things into, a pretty into a unique solution for our client base.
So, could you please clarify? So,
yeah.
If I am your client,
sure.
I am able not only to get the AI's opinion, but I also could ask your employees to help me additionally. So, okay, I believe in this result, but I would like to get a little bit more information from human.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
Who are your core customers?
Sure. So we represent large institutional investors. So some of the largest endowments and foundations in the U.S. We have 10 of the top 20 endowments, fund of funds, sovereign wealth funds, pension plans, and now we're starting to work with venture capital funds as well. So large, so institutional investors, up to some of the largest sovereign wealth funds, and billions of dollars, assets under management.
Okay, got it. How do you ensure accuracy and reliability in AI-generated legal analysis?
So there are two things. One is there's a certain core work that is 100% accurate. And then there's a certain part where we find, again, clients can tolerate a little of noise because we sort of say this is generated by AI. So because we felt that accuracy was so important, we built the back end logistics around getting to 100% accuracy. So when you send us an agreement, so let's say it's a limited partnership agreement or venture capital financing documents, we take those, we have a set of a couple hundred questions that we analyze. So we don't just say, did AI summarize this? We say, here are the structured data that we want from these. We send it out. We actually anonymize those documents and we send it out to 3 models. We started where we sent it out to 6 models, but now the models have gotten better, so we can send it out to 3. Those 3 models come back with the answers, and then we have AI as the judge compare those answers of those 3. Where the models agree and the AI judge thinks it's okay, there's a very quick quality assurance by our lawyers. Where the models don't agree, then a lawyer actually opens the document. And for every response that we get the reason that the AI model is giving the response, the section reference, and an extract from the agreement. So the QA process from our lawyers is very fast, right? So we're able to very quickly say, okay, those models don't agree. There's something either ambiguous in the document, ambiguous in the question, something's going on here. And so that the lawyer checks that. So when a client gets that data back, it is honestly better than a standard, than a regular law firm because of this systematized QA process that we have. So that is 100% accurate, and we stand behind that. The second thing that we do is, again, to delight our clients, we then take those answers and we rerun it through AI, right? So the clients get those answers, but then we add an analysis, like looking at these answers, do you think there are issues we should raise? Is this a balanced agreement? So that you're getting more of the experience that you would get from a law firm, not just a summary of terms. And that part, a client can pay for a human to also review or not. And that's where it might not be 100% accurate, or you might not 100% agree with it, right? So it looks at those points and it says, you know what, given this deal, we think that these are okay. But you as a client can decide that you want to raise issues anyway.
Got it. Thank you. Do you see any emerging technologies reshaping your long-term roadmap?
Sure. The technology, the speed of the model improvement has gotten, sort of the quality of the output from the models has gotten better and better. So more complicated workflows can be automated, especially when you're in a narrow set. So we now do these, part of like private markets are reviewing these like most favored nations compendium. They're like 1,000 pages and you have to decide if you want a provision or not. And we're able to do that really seamlessly right now. I mean, it's probably 50 hours of work is reduced to an hour of work. And that's really because of the model improvement. The second thing is that there is a lot more off-the-shelf software. And we don't need to rebuild, like, for example, we're doing due diligence for clients, and there's all different ways to do that. We're not going to rebuild sort of a commercial grade due diligence reviewer, right? Because there's so much out there. And so that allows us actually to serve clients faster with, and we will pass that savings on.
Thank you. What has driven the most growth for Covenant so far?
So really what's been interesting is that when we started, there was an AI resistance right? So it really was a headwind was AI. Like, even though that's what made us different, there was in this market, it's a very conservative market, a very conservative client base. There was we would reach out and there would be a moratorium on any AI tools, right? Like, you weren't able to use AI. And over time, obviously, that has basically flipped. So where there used to be no AI, now there's an AI mandate, right? So that moratorium has turned into a mandate. And so we have found that sort of tailwind, that headwind has turned into a tailwind, where because AI is in the zeitgeist, because there's so much legal tech AI, because, there's, billions of dollars being fundraised into, sort of funding into AI legal companies, there's much more of an appetite to, to try an AI solution. And so that really has just been, sort of a pretty big switch for us, turning around.
Got it. And what about the geography? Can you share your strategy for scaling into new markets or geographies?
Sure. I before this, I worked at WeWork, which was a global company. And part of WeWork's success was saying we don't need to own the US before we go everywhere, right? That was part of it. And I really believe that firmly. I think right now that being too US centric can really be, a sort of a downside. And so we have clients all over the world already. And, we will, continue to do, sort of think of ourselves as, US first, but not US only. And so we have Asian clients, Middle Eastern clients, European clients already. And that's a big part of our growth strategy for sure.
Thank you. And what role does customer feedback play in product development? How do you incorporate it?
Yeah, so that's one of our strengths, is because we are on the front line with clients, right? It's not just customer support. We're actual lawyers doing legal work. That feedback loop is really essential. And so we think of ourselves as a law firm that has the, power to build product pipeline. And so really everything we've done has been based on customer feedback. In fact, earlier last year, I guess it's 2026 now. So at the end of, in September 2025, we announced what we called Covenant 2.0. And that was all based on client feedback. The biggest sort of revolutionary change to what we're doing is, when we originally really had like one pathway for clients to engage with us, but it turns out clients really have two jobs to get done. One is to get deals done, right? So that I have a deal, I need to get that done. And that's a certain set of tools. But the other part is to get answers fast, right? So a deal is not done, but a business person has a question about a deal, or you're in the process of a deal and you want to look at your portfolio. And there's another exercise of saying, I need to look at my archive and get some answers. And up until recently, an outside counsel was the gatekeeper for that data. And we're basically saying, no, you should be able to access it yourself. And so based on that client feedback, we really have two ways to engage, right? So if you go onto our platform, you could be in the process of a deal and there's commentary and you can have issues list and you can call us. But there's also a way just to look at your data, right? And go and say, what term did I agree to last time? Or let me look at my archive. And many of our clients have transferred their whole archive to us because of that ability.
And what are the biggest risks you see when integrating AI into legal workflows?
Honestly, I'm very bullish on AI. I'm sort of, here I am. I'm bullish on technology in general. I would say the caution I would give is that like AI can do anything, right? But we can't have it do everything all at once, right? So I think clients sometimes have an expectation of, well, if it could do this, it could do all of this. And it, it's going to take a minute for that to happen, right? So sometimes, we think the change is dramatic and radical and, and then sometimes clients are like, well, why isn't it that I snap my fingers and the documents are redrafted, and it's, well, that's not so easy. So, I think that's a little bit of a risk of sort of the over exuberance on the power of AI. You know, we've plugged the holes by, you know, putting in people, but, you know, then you have to manage, you know, client expectation.
Yeah, thank you. What leadership lessons have you learned scaling an AI-driven legal company?
So I mean, there are a lot. I think, you know, I would say everything that I've learned has been said before, but you know, I like, you know, sort of like I don't have a new lesson. One, timing is super important, right? So you know, you have to be in the game to be able to capitalize on it, but you know, things will fall your way or not fall your way based on, you know, some luck and timing. So when we first started, we had seen you know, GPT-3, you know, a sandbox before ChatGPT and started building. We wanted to do something with big agreements. We didn't want to just do sort of a short NDA. And it wasn't until November 2023 that the context window was big enough to take an agreement all at one time, right? Like a 100-page agreement. And before that, it really didn't work, right? Like any sort of RAG, any sort of chunking, if you divide up an agreement, like accuracy goes way down and a human alone is faster than the AI. And so all of a sudden in November 2023, the OpenAI opened the context window. And so we rebuilt our product from, you know, November to January of 2024 to take advantage of that. And that was a huge, you know, you have to be in the game, you have the benefit of timing and also the curse of timing, right? So like if it were sooner, it would have been better. And so you know, I think that's really been interesting in an evolving field that you could really have some of those lessons, you know, in a compressed time frame. So
Yeah, got it. I'm curious if you see what trends in private markets or legal tech excite you most right now, if there is.
yeah, I think this idea of the legal industry, I mean, is on the precipice of massive change. I really do. I believe that. So I do think that, you know, big law, there will be a part of elite law that looks exactly the same, right? And, you know, maybe instead of 50 associates behind a big M&A deal, there are 20 associates and some AI, and that elite will look the same. But everything else, you know, below that and where elite lands and everything else starts will change over time. But I think there is going to be a massive shift in how law is practiced, especially if you can stay narrow and focused. You can make, you know, real change in a, you know, in the way, you know, deals get done for sure.
Yeah. And the last one question. How do you see Covenant in 3-5 years?
Yeah, so I see us as, you know, law firm 2.0. That's what we're building. And I see it as, you know, really taking on private markets. I do see us having global presence. I think there is a real part of law, even with AI in the back end, where clients need to meet me, need to meet Richard, where it's still a personal relationship. And so I don't think you'll have sort of partners fighting for deals in the way that, you know, maybe at a traditional law firm, but you know, we would have a global presence around the world so that you can engage with clients, and then really having sort of these narrow sets of you know, types of private transactions that we do really well. So after this, you know, we can do secondary transactions, and then you can do small M&A transactions, et cetera, and you could sort of build up you know, expertise in this one area for sure and be a presence.
Got it. Thank you. Jennifer, thank you very much for joining our podcast, for sharing your ideas.